What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Unashamed Sportscast. It's your boy K Jeff alongside my man's A Swizzle.
Okay.
Salvato's in the
I
building.
guess I got a new name.
Yes,
hey,
sir.
We'll run with that for now.
Yes,
we'll
indeed, man. We appreciate everybody for tuning in for another great episode. And that's where we're going to start, man. I want to take a moment out before we get into the sports topics that we're going to address today and just thank everybody who has tuned in. We received a great deal of support from everybody, from friends and family alike, who have tuned in to our podcast weekly. And, part of our mission was to, build up our following to try to, continue our mission of, getting real sports out and just pushing the movement, man. So thank everybody.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Continue to show us some love, man.
Please
show us some love. Share that, like that. We appreciate everybody, everything you guys have done, all the support. And we plan to continue to get better each week. Each week we're going to try to improve on the topics and just everything that we do. So just keep tuning in, and we have a lot more in store. So we appreciate it and look forward to growing with us.
Absolutely, everything we do is for you, that.
Exactly. There you go.
But we appreciate y'all, man. Also, I want to personally take the time out, man. I've always encouraged everybody to send their feedback, voice their concerns. If you guys see anything that can help move us along, to please share. In addition to listening to our podcast, so let me go ahead and this might be a one-time only thing that I do, and give an apology to a Mets fan. My man M Rose, man, listened to the podcast last week. It kind of gave me a little bit of grief as far as forgetting his pitcher's name. I think I referred to him as what's that pitcher's name?
Yeah.
Jacob deGrom is his name. Fantastic pitcher. And that team has struggled a bit, so I'm still gonna throw some shade your way. But the hope is they can pick things back up and win that division. So I'm cheering for the Mets. M Rose, my apologies, brother. The best of luck to your Mets and your Jets going forward.
Hold on, he's a Mets and Jets fan?
A Mets and the Jets fan. But we're not going to apologize again, so apologies.
He's an underdog. Shout out to you. You go with the underdogs, the Mets and Jets. It was the Mets, Jets, and Nets, but now I feel you on the Nets. But shout out to those that support the underdog.
Yeah.
They got to get some love too.
So much love to you, brother, and that fan base. Again, keep the positive movement going. So today for you guys, we have another great deal of topics that we're going to cover. We're going to talk about college footballs. Just released their preseason rankings for their top 25 preseason coaches polls. So we're going to dive into that. We're also going to put a recap on, week one in the NFL preseason, some training camp battles that are going on that are intensifying and heating up. And then, of course, we're going to talk a little bit about my man Deshaun Watson, and the things that are going on with him right now. So we got an action-packed day for you guys. Again, thank y'all for tuning in. All right, first on the docket, college football rankings, okay? So the coaches poll recently released their top 25 preseason rankings. Of course, you got Alabama, who else, at number 1, followed by Clemson, Oklahoma, Ohio State at 4, Georgia, A&M, Texas A&M, of course, Notre Dame, Iowa State, North Carolina, Cincinnati at 10 to round out the top 10. And then you got Florida at 11, Oregon, LSU, USC, Wisconsin, the U, Miami at 16, Indiana, Iowa, Texas, who's going to be in the SEC soon, Penn State, Washington, Oklahoma State, Louisiana, Coastal Carolina, watch out for those guys, and Ole Miss to wrap up the top 25. Hey, Swizzle, what you think, man? What stands out to you in that top 25, man?
Let me think. Well, of course, Alabama was going to be number 1. We should expect that from seasons. Actually, I think the top 4 is expected, year after year now, with Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, and Ohio State. Mm-hmm. They've pretty much been the powerhouses, so no surprise there. Oklahoma got a couple of first place votes. I was a little surprised. I actually thought Alabama was going to get all of them.
They
so
should have.
Well, I guess there's the Oklahoma voters,
Yeah.
So, it's going to be interesting as usual. I don't expect too many surprises. This is especially with the way college football has been over the last couple of years. I think that the Oklahomas and Alabamas and Ohio States, will be right up there. So as far as any sleepers, I mean, you can always like teams like LSU or who else is it? Notre Dame. Sometimes they're, but a lot of times when Notre Dame is at the top, it tends to be a little inflated because of like their schedule and stuff like that. So even if they do make the top four, I never really have expectations for Notre Dame, unfortunately.
They're consistent, but you're right.
So I think that Alabama's gonna have a solid season, and we can look forward to seeing it. I don't think anything's gonna change, honestly. I think Clemson, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and Alabama will be in that playoffs.
Okay. All right. So you think like the top four?
I'm good. I'm actually good. Yeah.
All right. There's always a sleeper pick, man. But I agree with you, man. I mean, the top four, the top five, really, are all teams that you would expect to be there at the end. I mean, history shows us the last couple of years, those teams, Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma, Ohio State, and Georgia, have all had some recent success. SEC, man, is stacked, and then you talk about adding powerhouses like Texas and Oklahoma to the SEC in a couple of years. That's going to be an amazing thing for that. I mean, they're building a super conference.
So let's kind of dive into that a little bit.
Okay.
Like, how do you feel like that's going to reshape the landscape of just college football as a whole? Because some of these other conferences they're kind of scrambling now.
They're scrambling. So it definitely continues to build upon the SEC's dominance. I mean, because even before Texas and Oklahoma, like the SEC, every year you see sometimes. I mean, I think at one time, like people were debating, like, do you put a one-loss SEC team in the playoffs over an undefeated team? And it's just because of like that, the power of that conference. And I mean, they're producing NFL talent like it's almost at a rapid rate at this point. Like you look at the draft, a lot of SEC guys representing for that conference. But to answer your question, I do think it changes things in the sense of it makes the SEC more dominant. I saw an article today that said that the ACC, the Pac-12, and the Big Ten were having preliminary discussions about partnering. Now I don't know if they're going to formulate a super conference, but definitely they're putting SEC on watch that we see what y'all doing, and we're not about to just let y'all take over. Not just football, I mean, but all sports. Just think about how much money is, provided to those schools. I think I saw something that like the clause in Texas and Oklahoma's deals with the Big 12 was like if they left, like they were going to be, summons to a pretty hefty like $5 million per year fine, and so they basically had to like finish out their tenures within their respective, current conferences to avoid such fines, but. Man, it's going to make it a lot tougher. I'm going to tell you that. But for the kids, it's going to be great. I mean, for the kids who are going to play in the SEC to say, like, we went up against,
top-tier competition.
Yeah.
And I was going to say that. I was going to say, from, one perspective, you can look at some of the other conferences and, kind of question how fair it's going to be. Mm-hmm. And, with the SEC, you see a lot of the top tier talent going into the SEC, and that's why they're always at the top. They're always at the top of the polls at the end of the season. Top tier rankings. But if I'm a player, when scouts come, the NFL scouts, and they come to the games and everything, and they're kind of rating you as a player. The weight that they put on the players that play in the SEC is a lot higher. So if you dominate, or even if you do well in another conference, a player that did relatively well in the SEC can be graded higher than you.
Yeah.
So if my goal is to get to the NFL, even if I'm not the best in my position in the SEC, I still may be considered a better prospect than somebody else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
like the junior NFL.
Pretty much, so it almost doesn't. it doesn't make sense if I'm a top tier talent. Why would I go anywhere but the SEC?
But the SEC.
So that's tough.
And a lot of these kids are being told that, like,
Yeah.
that's the recruiting pitch from a lot of the SEC schools. Come to the SEC, like, you want to play on the next level.
Yeah.
Come to the SEC. So it's going to be interesting, man. I wouldn't disagree with you with the top teams. You know, I wouldn't be surprised to see any of those teams in the playoffs. There's always a sleeper, of course. There's always that team that sneaks in who isn't in the top 5. So it's going to be interesting, man. But I definitely expect, some excitement, some fireworks this season. So I can't wait, man. I love college football. It's so exciting. Football is almost here, man.
Definitely.
The best time of the year. So, yes, football is almost here. On that note, NFL preseason.
Hold on. Before we leave football, before we leave college football, want to take a minute to just give a moment of silence for Coach Bowden. From Florida State, he recently passed away. And when I was coming up, he was like the top of the coaching pecking order.
Yeah.
Because Florida State was dominant. So definitely want to give a quick moment of silence for Coach. Yeah. So I didn't want to leave college football without paying our respects to a legend.
Absolutely. Coach Bowden, absolutely one of the all-time greats. And to add, before we go to the NFL. Coach Bowden was a legendary coach, so pay respect. I'm a Hokies fan. I'm a Virginia Tech fan, so I remember that game, national championship game, Michael Vick, man, and they had Peter Ward. They had a great team that year, and Bobby Bowden beat my Hokies, man. I cried because I was a Michael Vick fan and grew into a Virginia Tech Hokies football fan.
Yeah.
So that's what I remember Bobby Bowden by the most. So I'm a little salty as a coach when he was, continuing his movement. But absolutely, I give respect where respect is due. So, agreed. Bobby Bowden, one of the all-time greats to ever do it. So, prayers to his family and all the players that have played for him and all those folks that he impacted. Because you never really heard like any dirt on his name.
Yeah.
With any recruiting and that time it was a lot. So.
Yeah. But definitely shout out to the Hokies, Beamer ball and all of that. Yeah. I'm when I graduated, 01, so I'm a Hokie alum,
now,
so definitely shout out to our Hokies. Yeah,
Michael Vick's water boy. Did you play?
No,
okay.
I was never Michael Vick's
My
water
bad,
boy.
brother. My bad. No.
But all good.
All right, man. NFL. Can we talk about the NFL?
Not for long. Yeah, definitely.
All right, man. So the preseason is wrapping up. The first week of the preseason is wrapping up, and man, I am appalled. I mean, we saw some. First of all, it's so good to have football back. It's so good to have fans back in the stands, man. How long that will last? Hopefully,
we don't know.
But it's so good to have fans back in the stands. Let's just start there. We're back in the stands, and the excitement of football was back upon us. As fans, and we, the NFL is doing a great job of promoting, trying to recoup some of that money back, some of their revenue lost. But they're doing a great job promoting these younger athletes, man. I was really excited to see a lot of those top quarterbacks in action. Of course, as a 49ers fan, I'm going to be biased and say Trey Lance represented 80 yards, second pass, preseason, whatever. I don't care. That young man's 21 years old and is going to be a force to be reckoned with. For years to come. You heard it here first.
Trey Lance. He has potential. His potential is limitless.
Yeah, absolutely. Highest ceiling of any of these quarterbacks I'm about to discuss. But we'll see.
Yeah.
But all those guys, you look at, let's start at the number 1 spot, Trevor Lawrence. Trevor, and actually, let's combine 1 and 2. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson had almost identical numbers. They were both like 6 and 9 for I think 68 and 71 yards respectfully. And they both, they did well. None of the quarterbacks really stunk it up. I mean, Justin Fields, man, if I had to be unbiased and say another player who stood out, and it's the preseason, a lot of these guys, a lot of these teams, starters didn't even play.
Yeah.
A lot of these guys might not even make the team, but for what it's worth, these are young guys who are transitioning from, we just talked about college football to the pros, and the speed is different. We've seen players who dominated college and then they get to the NFL and it's like, yo, you remember him?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
a lot of it has to do with the conferences, though. You know what I mean? Like players that may have played in, I mean, it happens to everybody.
So Okay.
But I'm just saying, like, a lot of times, if you're not used to the speed of the game because of your competition, it's a bigger leap coming to the NFL.
I disagree with that.
You really?
Name.
Well, not Trey. I mean,
what Trey said. Give me like just side conversation for a minute. Give me just the top 5 quarterbacks that you think of right now, like in the game right now. Top 5
right
quarterbacks.
Now.
Deshaun Watson. Okay.
I say
ACC.
Deshaun. I don't want to say because I'm still like a Brady and
well, let's just in no particular order.
I'm still a Brady
guys. Let's put Brady in there.
Okay.
Brady was Big Ten, Michigan. Yeah.
Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers, California. Pac-12.
Let me think. Who else is the top tier quarterback? Who's number 1? Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes, Texas Tech, SEC,
and what is it? Lamar
Jackson, Louisville, which was ACC. One SEC guy, and remind you, Texas Tech, Patrick Mahomes, and maybe you're speaking in terms of just the conference, but he wasn't even like the top quarterback coming out of the SEC, name-wise, when he came out.
Yeah.
There were other guys, like in terms of like college football, but the reason I say I disagree is because I think more and more we're seeing guys like Trey Lance, who went to FCS, North Dakota State, coming up in like, they have that, it's like that hunger is in them more because they come from smaller schools or because like some of them didn't even play that much in college or they're not as touted as prospects. So I disagree with the notion that like playing in the SEC makes you more prepared because we've seen guys like Trent Richardson comes to mind for me, who played at Alabama, won a Heisman Trophy, completely flopping the NFL.
Okay, so who's the best running back in the league right now?
The best running back? I would probably have to say there are a few, man. I mean,
who led the league in rushing?
Derrick Henry.
Where'd he come from?
Alabama.
Okay,
that's one.
But I think that Richardson is just kind of a.
But there are more.
Yeah,
Mark Ingram, he's a solid.
He had a solid.
But I can name that's one of one. I can name as many solid players that have come from non-schools, like the 49ers.
Okay.
I'm a 49ers fan.
So this is the only thing I'll say about that. Like, it goes both ways because if your team is stacked, they're worried about the wideouts. Like they could be worried. There's a lot of other things that go into play that may help your stats as well. So it can go both ways.
Okay.
So tell me a top tier quarterback in the league right now that came from like a weaker conference.
Like weaker as in not SEC?
No, not any of the top 5 conferences.
So not a major conference.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz was good.
Carson Wentz is a bum right now.
Right now,
okay,
but he wasn't all. He was
he had a good
second
season.
overall pick in the draft,
and
he wasn't in the SEC or a major Power 5 conference.
And what they did was they speculated that he'd be able to transition well, and he had a good season. But we're gonna see.
No. So my point was that you don't have to be in the SEC. Like you were saying, like your equivalence of playing in the SEC helps players to transition to the NFL. I was disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing with the Power 5 conference. I'm disagreeing with the SEC notion because we see more players who are productive at the NFL level who have not played in the SEC. It was my point.
Well, I'm not just isolating into the SEC though.
Okay, but that's what you said. SEC, like, but okay.
Well, I meant like the Power 5 conference.
Okay,
but
okay, got you.
And I think we were talking about quarterbacks, but
we were.
So if we look at who else is a top tier quarterback? That's I'm trying to think of somebody that came from like a lower level school,
like a smaller school. The guys you just named all came from Power 5 conferences. You can go back in years, like I mean, he's obviously washed up now, but like Joe Flacco went to Delaware. He won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, he had a good season.
He won a Super Bowl. Colin Kaepernick went to Nevada.
Okay.
You know, I mean, you think of guys like that. I mean, and then like Tom Brady, although he went to Michigan, he was a 6th round pick. Like he didn't play much at Michigan.
No, he
much.
did.
No, he did. He started what, 1 year?
No, I think Tom started 2 years.
Okay.
I think he played. He had a half a year because they had. Who was it? They had some top prospect that ended up coming and splitting time with him in the senior year. I forgot his name. Look, I don't even remember his name.
Correction, I'm sorry. I just thinking to myself, Texas Tech is not SEC. Texas Tech is Big 12. So of
you were thinking about Texas A&M.
That was thinking about Texas A&M, yeah.
Yeah.
So of those 5 quarterbacks, you named none of them were from the SEC.
I didn't say SEC.
You did.
Though.
You said SEC.
I said, all right, we'll check. But if I didn't mean SEC,
check. Okay.
I meant like
Power
top,
5
yeah,
conference.
like top tier.
That makes
conference.
sense.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with that. So, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. We can.
Hey man, anybody who carried Michael Vick's water, man, you got.
Yo, I've never carried that man's water, man.
But the rookies look good. I'm excited to see how these young guys continue. You know, at that quarterback position, it's so tricky though. Talking about quarterbacks because it's like there's no like recipe. Like I feel like all the teams that draft like quarterbacks in the first round, like they're all hoping. Like I mean, if the teams thought that Patrick Mahomes was going to be Patrick Mahomes, he would have obviously went a lot higher. Like every year we see boom, we see bust, we see high potential guys. Josh Allen came onto the scene last year and really blossomed into what the Bills were hoping he was going to be before. Like last year, like teams were doubting like if he was going to even be a starting caliber quarterback. So the NFL has changed. I think it's moved a lot faster. I mean, the fact that we're talking about like rookie quarterbacks potentially starting as rookies and being productive in a lot of situations, I think is incredible. And I do think that SEC aside, just the level of play, the level of competition across different conferences has helped these guys. I mean, you see coaches from the NFL go and coach in college football. More coaches, I think, now than before. And that's setting these players up for success, man. So I'm excited, man.
Shout out to Dion, coach in college.
Coach Dion.
Yeah,
Don't,
Coach. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Coach Dion. Definitely
Put
shout
some
out to
respect
Coach
on that
Dion.
man's name. Shout out to Coach Dion, man.
Working with the kids,
Working with the kids, but building up that foundation, man. So I'm excited for what the NFL has to offer. All right, man. Give me some favorites, man. I know you've been watching some preseason.
Some favorites
well.
in all right, so I'm an old school guy.
Okay.
You know, so I don't think that there's been a changing of the guard just yet. So I still think Tampa Bay is primed to repeat. You know, they got AB back. They got most of the team back, which most people think that most people didn't think that they would be able to do it. You know, but when you're with Brady, the GOAT, you know, you just kind of make these sacrifices. Similar to I'll give it like similar to playing with LeBron in the NBA. They're key players that make a sacrifice to come and play just for the opportunity to win it all.
Not Patty Mills though, right? Because the last episode you were like saying Patty Mills.
No.
Okay.
Patty Mills is just tagging along with what he knows.
He's a tag along.
The juggernaut
of the player, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. We're gonna come back here and you can find when Patty Mills wins us a game.
All right, man.
But
I'm just fact checking for a minute, man.
But yeah, definitely. I think I never count out Green Bay. You know, I think Aaron Rodgers is. This may be his last season with them, and you know they're kind of positioning themselves to have a good run. So me, I still don't think there's been a full changing of the guard yet. So we do have, you know, NFL has a lot of great young quarterbacks, and you know whether or not it's Lamar, Patrick Mahomes, even you know Trevor, some of the younger guys that are coming now. But I just feel that you know the Bradys and the Rodgers are still. They're still. I don't want to say they're in their prime, but they're still primed. To come out with a Super Bowl. So
they're proving.
Yeah, they're definitely proving.
You guys have done it. Is there any team that you see as like a potential sleeper team? The team that isn't really getting a whole lot of coverage as far as being competitive that might sneak up and be relevant in a couple of months? That you can think of.
Well, the Washington team has a great defense. You know, so their defense, like when you have a great defense, you know,
that's why that makes sense.
Huh?
You said we. I'm like, where did Washington come from? That makes sense. But explain to me. What's up with
when they have a great defense, you have a puncher's shot, you know, to win. And then they have you know a solid veteran quarterback at the helm. Too bad he hasn't like proven much when he's a starter, but we'll see. Fitzpatrick, yeah.
Okay. I like Fitzy.
You know, he's good. He's good. I think, but what they say is when the expectations come upon him is when he kind of flutters away. So, But again, kind of like with the NFL, kind of like with college. I don't necessarily know if we're gonna see any surprises. I think that the Bucks may make noise. Of course, the Chiefs. With Mahomes, we may see a repeat of that. And it can go either way. So if there is a changing of the guard, it's going to be from Brady to Mahomes. But I think Brady might pull it out one more year.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. What about you? What you think?
I disagree. I think the 49ers will return to prominence. Health is wealth in the NFL, man. You can say what you want. I'm obviously biased to the 49ers, but you can say what you want. Health
the rookie
is wealth.
Quarterback?
He'll play a part. I don't think so I have a whole take on if I feel like he should play right away, which is a whole nother episode. But I'm gonna say I think he'll play a part in to our success. I mean, you can't count on Jimmy Garoppolo. Mm-hmm. I'm not a Jimmy Garoppolo fan. The folks who know me best know that that's true. I think he, just like you mentioned, Fitzpatrick, when expectations are high, he fizzles and he will fizzle. So again, we're going to be as good as we are healthy, and so obviously I'm going to say us. I'm going to say the Bucks will be a team to watch. The Packers will definitely be a team to watch, and kudos to. I guess I want to give a kudos. Kudos to Aaron Rodgers. Because that situation almost got messy with him reportedly being unhappy, and they were able to rework something in his contract to where he could potentially leave after this season. They still got to re-sign Devontae Adams. He's a top 3 receiver in this league, which can be debated. Is he number one? Is he not?
That's another topic.
But he's great. He's great. But yeah, Washington, your team, I'm going to say, you're right. I mean, they do have one thing that you didn't mention going for them. They're in the NFC East. Like, you can go 4-12 and win the NFC. I'm just being real. But you just got to make it. You make it. Whatever. But, I could see them potentially winning that division. But again, 49ers, Bucks out of the NFC. Look at the AFC, obviously. The Chiefs are a team that's going to be they're going to be there if they stay healthy, and then you look at like the Ravens.
Yeah.
And the Chargers are, I think, a dark horse team. I really like that quarterback, Justin Herbert. They may be a few pieces away, but I don't know. I like that Chargers team to potentially be like a sleeper team.
Okay.
But I mean, when it's all said and done, I think a healthy Chiefs team is just leaps and bounds better than any other team in the AFC. And obviously with Brady not being in the AFC anymore, they're in their own way, so they stay healthy. I don't foresee anyone definitely not going to Kansas City and with that crowd beating them. And now that the fans are back in the stands, folks remember that as well, because I think a lot of people forgot last year that there weren't fans, and even in the Super Bowl, like, there were limited fans. Yeah. It makes a difference. Like, people don't realize like that home field advantage, going to Seattle, going to places like that, Lambeau Field, and like those fans make a difference, and sometimes can alter dynamics of a game. The players got to play, but those fans will make a difference. So it's gonna be interesting, man. I'm just so happy to have football back.
Yeah.
I can't wait until the that first game, that Cowboys Bucks game, which the Cowboys are totally gonna lose because they're the Cowboys.
Yeah, of course.
I don't think we can agree on that.
Yeah. I have no expectations for those guys.
You shouldn't. But that's another topic for today as well.
Let me. I know. We don't want to keep drifting off topics, but let me just ask you. I want your take on. You mentioned the Ravens and you mentioned the Chiefs. Yeah. And I guess it's interesting when we always talk about whether or not there's rivalries and stuff. Mm-hmm. So right now, Mahomes has, I guess, outgunned Lamar. Mm-hmm. Do you see that that's going to be a trend, and Lamar may end up being one of those people that was a great talent that just came in at the wrong time, and he may or may not ever get over the Mahomes and Kansas City hurdle?
I think it's certainly a possibility.
Yeah.
I like Lamar, as a player, as a person. I mean, he does things for that community, and just seems like a stand-up guy from like the interviews and stuff I've seen him do. But I certainly it's not out of the realm of a possibility that's the case. And he's won an MVP. He's been on the Madden cover. He's tremendous talent. He's exciting to watch. But Mahomes is just a different animal. Yeah. Man. I don't foresee them losing to the Ravens anytime soon. I just say it can happen because anything's possible in those games. But it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, that's just something that kind of popped in my head. And for, like you said, Lamar's won MVP, and he's an incredible talent. But sometimes it's about timing. You know, you just come into the league and then just kind of like the Jordan era when Jordan was kind of dominating everybody.
Sure.
You know, so we're not gonna get on that. But, I just sometimes when there's goats, you just gotta always kind of reference the goat.
Agreed.
You agreeing that Jordan's the GOAT?
No,
just want to make sure we got that. I thought you were saying
for his time.
For his time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I think it's an era thing. Yeah.
That's cool.
Respect is due. So.
That's cool.
Holmes
all right. So where we at now?
So we're moving on, man. I mean, we're sticking with the NFL. A topic that has kind of been, I'm not gonna say foreshadowing all this excitement because it's definitely not taken away from it, but it's been there. Is the Deshaun Watson situation. Now, before we give our takes and perspectives on it, let me just update everyone who's not familiar with it. So, Deshaun Watson is the quarterback for the Houston Texans, okay? And Deshaun came out this past offseason and demanded a trade. You know, he said he wanted out of Houston. He wanted to be traded. I think it even came a time where he gave them a list of, potential suitors because I believe he had, a no-trade clause in his contract, meaning he can decide where he wants to go. So they could trade him to the Washington football team. But if he was a smart man, he'd say, no, I don't want to go to Washington because they're just as bad as Houston. Just to give you an example of what that no-trade clause means. It means players essentially have the right to say no. I don't care if you have a deal in place. I don't want to go there. So they can basically pick without picking their destination. But anyway, he gave them a list of suitors potentially and so forth. And ironically, within a matter of weeks, so to speak, over 20 allegations of sexual harassment, sexual misconduct, and just sexual related offenses came out against Deshaun Watson. Now,
no criminal charges, just allegations.
No, to date, no criminal charges, correct, have been filed, but there are ongoing investigations from, again, over 20 different women who all, at some point claim to be sexually mistreated is the word I'm going to be. And I'm going to be very delicate. It's a very delicate topic from Deshaun Watson. So that's to catch up to speed. And so we here now, present day, again, nothing. He hasn't been charged criminally from any jurisdiction, but that situation obviously is looming, and it has a bunch of fans, a bunch of people saying what is going on? Is he going to be suspended? Won't he be suspended? When are they going to officially bring charges against him? My question is, where's the proof? I mean, I've seen text messages, but to be fair, and this is not to Deshaun, but to everyone, text messages can be fabricated. What's your take?
I feel like the machine of the NFL goes above and beyond to protect that shield. Okay. Especially since the Ray Rice incident.
Yeah.
And there's been some, pushback from some of the alleged victims to how the NFL's investigation has been going, and some of the questions and stuff, or how they're questioning the women. I feel as though that if there was concrete evidence that Deshaun, who was he's not the face of the NFL, but he was one of the faces, especially with the younger generation.
Absolutely.
I feel as though that they would have tried to move swiftly to get this thing addressed if there was, you talked about proof. If there was proof of wrongdoing, it wouldn't be dragging out the way that it is. That's just my opinion. Yeah. I'm not there. I'm not saying that nothing happened. I think that's where things get a little bit tricky. We're talking about grown men, like a grown man, a young millionaire NFL starting quarterback, and being in situations with, masseuses. I don't know what the proper way to say it, but whether it's massage therapist or whatever they're called, and no, I mean no disrespect, and to me, a massage in itself is an intimate type of interaction, and I wasn't there, but I just feel that the NFL's investigation says a lot without saying a lot, because if they had concrete evidence, in my opinion, things would have moved along a little bit more quickly.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be sensitive in voicing my opinion and just kind of go through it that way.
Agreed. Yeah. And I mean, to your point, it's a very sensitive topic. I mean, just sexual harassment, sexual abuse in its own are very delicate topics that, you know, I don't want people to think that I'm taking one side or another, but I agree in a sense of where are the facts. These allegations came out months ago, and, you know, obviously, you know, there's a process that has to take place. But like you mentioned, like with Ray Rice, like, I mean, it was a while before like the video service. Remember, initially, like they had suspended him, but then like the video came on and they were like, oh, like they ended up suspending him indefinitely.
Yeah, it was
like,
worse.
It was worse. Mm-hmm. Which was a little different situation, but like, I mean, and I think I remember saying with Deshaun, like initially, like when all these allegations first came out, there was like, for some of the cases, not all of them, but I think for some of the cases, there were like proposed financial settlement agreements that were like, hey, if you give us this, we'll, and he was like, nah, like, nope, like I mean, he's proclaimed, he hasn't said much. You haven't really heard a lot from Deshaun this entire offseason, but the few things that either he or his representatives have said have all been like, look, my client or I'm innocent, like, we'll let the facts play out in court whenever that comes. Mm-hmm. But it's just very unfortunate because it's like, you know, here you have still a person who, I mean, regardless of who he wants to play for, is still entitled to, you know, until he's proven guilty, you know, a level of respect and a level of just, you know, being able to be a professional. And I don't think he's gotten that. And again, I don't think any of us can be quick to be judgmental in this situation until the facts iron themselves out, if they ever go to court. But it's just like, as of right now, like Deshaun Watson has not been charged with anything. So while like, I don't understand how folks like calling for his suspension, like, what are you going to suspend him for? You know, like, because he's been, you know, accused. Okay, and I think I saw some like there were some of the alleged victims who were saying like the NFL isn't moving swiftly enough. Like they were complaining about their process. Like, why is he allowed to attend training camp? Like, why is he even being considered to suit up this season? And again, I think that situation is going to be interesting because remember, like, I mean, don't think he's even talking to like the Texans personnel. Yeah. Like, he's there, so he won't get fined.
Yeah,
Marshawn.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's I've ever seen a situation like this before, where you know you have maybe potentially legal stuff, and then you have, you know, his frustrations with the organization. It's just a very unique situation. Yeah. I don't know how it's gonna play out. I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah, I think you led this segment with what makes it from on I guess on the higher level extremely interesting, because of him being a black quarterback playing for the Houston Texans and coming out saying that he wanted to leave and he didn't want to play for this organization. Because remember how they treated Hopkins.
Yeah.
You know, so some people could look at it like it's, you know, it's the ownership's kind of.
No,
and
I
don't want to you
take
know,
it there.
You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
We're gonna like kind of spank him for speaking. Like,
no.
You want to speak out against us?
Bob McNair, who's the Texans owner, is also, and I mean, we're making this about the organization too because they deserve some accountability as well. Was the owner, for folks who in the Shauna side, who came out years ago and said you can't let the inmates run the prison. Remember that, and he tried to walk it back. But this is the same guy we're talking about. So ironically enough, this is the same organization who's you know, and worth noting, I haven't seen anything, trade stuff aside, and this is kind of where it gets to me, like allegations aside, I mean, because no facts have been proven yet. You know, you oftentimes hear when a team cuts a player, what do they say? It's a business, right? We no longer had need for their services. Like we did what was in the best interest of the team. Deshaun Watson, although he has demanded a trade, the last time I checked, is still an employee of the Houston Texans. why have no Houston Texans personnel ownership come to his defense and say our client is good? Our player at this point, who has sacrificed his body, sacrificed his time, despite wanting to be his displeasure with the organization right now. You haven't heard a single player, coach. Now I get the players, they're in their own bubbles, but coaches, representative for the Texans have not come out and outrightly supported them. And so you can't almost like it's almost like you like this is why he wants out. You guys don't support your players. You guys don't support. This guy's still under contract with you guys. You want him to play, but like ironically enough, you guys haven't shown support for him. And the Houston Texans are just a crappy organization. I mean, I'm gonna say that.
Yeah.
Let me get that off my chest.
Yeah,
like
you don't even have to speak. You don't. Yeah.
I mean, they're just a crappy organization. I think personally, that's my personal feeling. I mean, I think that despite they've had some success, like when J.J. Watt was in his prime and things of that nature. But I mean, the Cowboys, for what it's worth, that's their state. Like Texas is the Cowboys state.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll always be second to the Cowboys, similar to the Clippers in L.A. In my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, man, come on, give me a break.
I'm with you. I think there's a lot of other factors that are going into play in this whole situation, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. I just hope that Deshaun can just hold his head and just go through the process, and he says he's innocent. Hope that information that supports that comes out, and he's able to continue his career. Because I mean, the sad part about it is he's a top quarterback. Like, he was a top 5 quarterback.
Still is.
I know, but I'm like they're like, these are his prime years.
Yeah.
So hopefully it gets all resolved. And if there was any wrongdoing, and there's facts that show that, hopefully the women will get whatever it is that they justice. See, that's my biggest thing, and we'll close off on this. I don't want to keep going, but what is the justice? Like, is it monetary, or do you like? So if he went to jail and you didn't get paid, do you feel okay?
Right.
Like, are you? You know what I'm saying? Like, or if you get paid and he don't go to jail, are you okay? Like, what's the end game? Like, what do y'all real? I just want there to be justice, whichever way, that may be. If he did something that he wasn't supposed to, then he'll have to pay for that. And if he didn't do anything, then I hope his name gets cleared. And I also hope that those that are accusing him get held to something.
Yes,
that's also justice.
Yes,
so,
but we'll let it play itself out.
Yeah.
Let the dominoes fall where they may. But we're here to see how it unfolds. Mm-hmm. So, all right, guys, that puts a tie, unfortunately, on our content for today. We appreciate you guys very much. Please continue to follow us, continue to support us, and continue to get our names out. We got to get our IG followers up, man. Folks have been reaching out to me, but I'm like, hey, tell your friends to follow us on IG. We are on all major platforms, so we're on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, and there's a couple others that I'm missing.
Yeah, we're on all of them.
All major platforms.
We're supposed to do the like, share, and how they do it. like, share, subscribe. So
we'll get there.
Yeah, whatever it is that you guys got to do to support us, we definitely appreciate it. The continued support, and like we mentioned, we definitely want to continue to bring you good content, and really dig deep into some of the topics that we talk about. So so we're gonna as a matter of fact, next week we're gonna have our first guest.
Yep. August Athlete of the Month.
Yeah, so August Athlete of the Month, we're gonna try to highlight some athletes or some, like, coaches or different people in the Richmond area that play a role in whether or not that they're played sports 10, 20 years ago, or whether or not they're current athletes. Current coaches, and just kind of highlight some of the stuff that they have going on, kind of put a spotlight on them. So next week, definitely tune in. We're going to have Coach Del Harris. He's the head, the varsity high school basketball coach for collegiate. So he's going to join us. We're going to talk some basketball. Kind of pick Dell's brain for a couple of things.
Sure.
And he also has a couple of things that he's involved in here in the community. So, he's going to elaborate on some of that. So definitely chime in next week. We're looking forward to having that first guest, first of many. And Cal, I'll let you close us out.
Thank you guys. Peace and blessings to everybody. Look forward to continue to providing you guys quality content. When you say like, share, follow.
We'll get it. We'll
get it, man. Thank you guys. Look forward to bringing you guys some more sports content. See you later. Peace.
All right. Peace.